So Google's gathering information about businesses from all over the internet. But the number one data source for your Google business profile is your website.
Welcome to the Simple and Smart SEO Show podcast, where we talk all things brand building SEO, helping you connect with your audience, elevate your visibility, and grow your business. I'm your host, Waddell, here to bridge the gap between SEO strategy and real world business success by bringing you insights, stories, and conversations from the SEO community and beyond. Whether you're an entrepreneur, marketer, or SEO enthusiast, this is your place to learn, share, and build a brand that stands out. So grab a coffee or your favorite tea, and let's dive into smarter SEO for your business. We're going to have lots of fun today talking about local SEO. And my special guest is Darren Shaw, who is the founder of Whitespark. And his company provides software and services to help businesses rank in local results. And when I say this guy is very smart, he's very smart. So I'm so grateful to have you here on the show today, Darren. Welcome to the Simple and Smart SEO Show podcast.
I appreciate the compliments. Feeling a little embarrassed now, but yes, thank you.
And you're also very tall. I've met you in person.
That's
and
true.
I had no idea you were so tall.
People always say that. They're always like, oh, I didn't think you'd be this tall, because they've only seen this tiny little picture of me on the internet. But yes.
Yeah.
So,
that's what I love about in-person events, because then you get that holistic picture of who someone is.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your background. Like, how did you found Whitespark? Why did you found Whitespark? And what are you guys up to right now?
Yeah, I started Whitespark right out of university as a freelance web development company. So I just started making websites for people. I started making websites in the late 90s. I started the company in 2005. I decided to go full time with my freelance business. And then once you start building websites for local businesses, they ask you how to get them ranking in Google. And so I started investigating that and deep dived into SEO. And I thought, this is way more fun than building websites. So I really focused on that, and we built some SaaS software. So we built the Local Citation Finder, which is a SaaS application that helps you understand your citations around the internet. And then we built a local rank tracking software. We have a local platform for managing Google business profiles. We got software for managing your reviews. And then we have services as well. So now the company's grown to 44 people. And so it's been 20 years. We're coming up on our 20-year anniversary.
That is awesome. It's so inspirational for sure. So you mentioned a lot of different things like citation finders and all that type of stuff. Why is that important?
Citations are less important than they used to be. So I also do this thing. It's called the Local Search Ranking Factors. This is a survey that comes out. It used to go out every year when David Min was doing it, but in 2017, he handed the reins to me, and now I do it, and I tend to do it every 2 years. Not for any reason other than I'm just disorganized. I should be doing it once a year. Everyone always asks me, but so the 2025 version will come out soon. The last one I did was in 2023, but this is a survey of all the top experts in local SEO. And I asked them a series of questions to help us understand how Google's local ranking algorithm works. And this is for ranking in the local packs or in Google Maps. And that survey gives us a ton of data about how Google's local algorithm works. So the local search ranking factors, you get this pie chart, it'll show you what impacts local rankings. And so reviews are a huge one on the local side. Proximity, how close you are to the searcher, is a big one. Citations have lost value. They used to be really valuable in the earlier days of local SEO. Things that you optimize on your website. Local SEO is like general SEO. You have to still optimize your website, get links, get mentions, all the things that you would do for traditional SEO. Plus, now you got a bunch of other things to worry about. You got to worry about getting reviews on Google, reviews on other sites, getting citations, so business mentions with your name, address, and phone number, and optimizing the Google business profile itself. So it's like regular SEO plus more work.
Okay, so because I'm not as familiar with local SEO as I am the general SEO, could we take it back just another step further? You mentioned local packs. What is a local pack?
Oh, okay. So do a search right now for your city dentist, and you're going to get what's called the local pack. You know, it's got a little map, and then it's got 3 businesses, and then you can click more businesses to look at the rest of the local results. Or on your mobile phone, you can go to the Google Maps app and just search for dentists, or you can type dentist and then click the Maps tab in Google. And those are all the local results. But the local pack is that thing that you'll see embedded in the main search results that has the 3 businesses and the little map. And it's evolved much over the years. It used to be a 10-pack, then it was a 7-pack. For a brief period, it was a 5-pack. Now it's a 3-pack. They just keep making the pack smaller. Yeah.
Never a 6-pack. That's funny. I love it.
Not even a 6-pack. Geez.
That really stick with people. And the reason why I ask that is because When you are coming into SEO from just like a entrepreneur perspective and a business owner perspective,
Yep.
you learn these things as you're going and you recognize, yeah, everybody's searched for something on the Google Maps, got directions somewhere, but you don't know that there's an SEO dictionary to describe what that is. I always like to just get that from the expert to really understand, oh, this thing that I'm familiar with, it's not an overwhelming or abstract concept. It's something I've actually interacted with on a regular basis. I just didn't know the name of it.
Totally. Yeah. It was like a whole local search glossary.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, you mentioned a little bit about the citations not being as big of a
Yep.
factor.
Yep.
What other changes over the last, let's even just say the last 4 or 5 years, would you say there's outdated advice out there from 2020 that just doesn't apply in 2025?
Yeah, great. There's a number of new factors that we realize have more importance that we didn't know before. And there was a number of factors that people used to think had an impact, but have since been proven as myths. So I'll hit both of those. So the first one would be like, what's new? What are the things that we didn't really realize before? And that would be services. It actually used to be tagged as a local search myth that the services on your Google business profile impact rankings. Now we realize that they do impact rankings. So when you optimize the services section of your Google business profile, that's been new discovery over the past few years that it's a pretty valuable thing for helping you rank for whatever those services you're adding. So the optimization strategy is to make sure you fill out the services section in Google. You choose all the ones that they're suggesting for you and you put them on your profile as long as you actually offer those services. And then you need a unique page on your website for each one of those services. That's the strategy. And there's great value in doing that work. But that's a newer development. The other one is business hours. So we didn't know this until it's been maybe a year or almost 2 years. There's this amazing thing that happens during like the time between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. Businesses that are closing start dropping in the rankings and businesses that are open shoot up to the top. Google likes to rank businesses that are currently open. And so it doesn't make sense for a lot of like service businesses that answer their phone at all times, but it is really interesting. And it's very valuable to know this. And the strategy to optimize for it would be, can you set your business hours to be open a little bit earlier or a little bit later to maintain your rankings for a longer period of time throughout the day? Or for some businesses, if you don't have a physical location, you could potentially set your hours to 24/7, which you'd have to have a call center that's answering your call, right? So if you were like a plumbing outfit or a roofing company that you go to your customers, that's called a service area business. There's a great opportunity to go 24/7 with your hours. That way you don't get that ranking drop when you close. So that's another really interesting development.
Okay, so I got a couple follow-ups there. Like
Sure.
with the 24-hour situation,
Yep.
because a lot of businesses that I work with are similar to mine where they're home base or there's no physical location
Yeah.
of the business. And I want to ask some more questions about that later. But for these purposes, is it okay to have the 24-hour option going on even though someone may not answer the phone? Or are you telling me that if someone reached out in some way, either via like a contact page or a
Mhm.
chat, would Google be able to realize that? And also, if you don't answer the phone, does that still matter?
So it's a guidelines violation if you don't answer your phone. If it's 3 a.m. and someone picks up the phone and calls you and there's no answer, then Google would say, why do you have your hours set as 24/7? The guidelines state your hours should reflect when your business is available. If you are an actual physical location, the hours must reflect when that door is open. It's your open and closed hours. But for a service business, that's a consulting company or something like that, you need to have your hours match. And then it could potentially, I think it'd be pretty rare, people could leave a negative review, be like, hey, it said they were 24/7. So I called them at 3 a.m. and no one answered. So you could get some negative reviews. So you generally want your hours to reflect when you're available to service customers. Now, I would say Google is not going to police this. You're very unlikely to get suspended if you do it. And also, I would question the benefits too. If you're a business and you don't answer your phone at that time, you're probably not going to get huge benefit from stating the 24/7. So I wouldn't bother with it.
Okay. And being an online e-commerce company like myself, I don't get a lot of phone calls anyway.
Yeah.
And then I saw something that I thought Google was phasing out the phone metric. Is that anything that you've heard in terms of the answered phone metric?
So yeah, in your Google Business Profile, there's a Google Business Profile Insights section, which is reporting. And so what that's reporting on is how many people on mobile tap call button. And so it's only really tracking on mobile. And so the data is not awesome anyways, because you're missing anyone that just sees the number and makes the call. That's why people set up what's called a call tracking number, if they really want the data of how many calls they're getting from their Google Business Profile. And I think what you may have seen is that some of that data is being removed from the bulk. So if you're a multi-location enterprise business that has bulk setup, there's some kind of insights that's being removed there. But as far as I understand, the call data is still going to exist for the general business.
Okay. See, and it's interesting because there's different levels to this thing.
There really are.
Yeah, that's really funny. Okay. And then you talked about like listing out all of your services,
Mhm.
but then having a specific page for each of those services.
Yep.
What are you talking about there? Like specific
Sure.
like landing pages, and you have to have a website page for every single service. And is there a link to that from that specific option, or it just has to align?
Yeah. So a real common mistake, let's imagine it's a handyman company. So we're a handyman company. These are the services we provide. They have one page on their website that says services. And then they'd be like, we provide all these services. It's like a bullet point, one bullet point for each of the services. So they do roof repair, they do window installation, they do window cleaning, they do odd jobs. Like they list all these, right? And so have you given Google enough context because you mentioned it in one bullet point on your web page? No, you really haven't. And so that's a real common mistake with local businesses. The solution is to have a services section. And under the section, there's a drop down with all of your primary services, and every one of those services gets a page. And so the reason that you do that is because a Google Business Profile is one set of data that Google has. And then they also are looking, so information about that business. So as the business owner, you can claim your profile, you can make changes, you can give Google information. That is one small source of data that Google uses. Google's also using what are called citations, so around the internet. Oh, you're listed on Yelp? All right, what's on your Yelp page? How many reviews do you have? What's the description? How many photos are in there? So Google's gathering information about businesses from all over the internet. But the number one data source for your Google Business Profile is your website. And people haven't made that mental connection. And so the more information you have on your website, it's like your database for your Google Business Profile. So you have to think of it in those terms. And so if you haven't built those pages out and you haven't really optimized them and given, this is why we're the best, and these are the frequently asked questions, and here's a video of me talking about this specific service, like really building out those pages, Google is connecting your Google Business Profile to your website. And so that's why it's super important and valuable to do that, because the services section in your Google Business Profile only has, 500 characters or something to type in. It's not enough. Like you need to give it the more context about your services. And that's just a really valuable optimization strategy.
That really is. And it makes a case against like the one-page websites. Like I've seen a lot of people pitching like one-page websites, and I'm thinking, oh, wow, that is a major negative against that particular strategy.
The one-page website, you only get one title tag. Can I please have multiple pages where I can optimize the title tag, add schema markup, possibly add more context? You really need a multi-page website. If you don't currently have a multi-page website and you're a local business, then you might want to consider getting a new website.
Okay, so let's get into a couple of like weedy type things, more weedy type things. I love to play in the weeds. I don't know what the deal is, but I am like all about some
Okay,
weeds.
great. Let's get into it.
But how do you think that small businesses should approach like local keyword research
Yeah.
differently than like general keyword research?
It's a really interesting local SEO from like keyword perspective. I don't do it. Like I don't invest a lot of time in keyword research. It's such a huge thing. Let's say you're a massive e-commerce company. Your keyword list is huge, right? You've got thousands of keywords that actually matter for your business. For a small business, a small local business, your keywords, you can probably just write them down. There's actually an amazing quote from Matt Cutts in that if you want to know the keywords you should focus on, ask 5 taxi drivers. What would you search if you were looking for my business? It's like a roofing company or whatever. And so that was his strategy to keyword research. He said that at some conference, like probably 12 years ago. And so I got a strategy for local. It's like, ask your mom, ask your friend, what would you search if you were looking for my business? I would type in roofing company Seattle, or I would type in roofer Seattle. You just got the two biggest ones right there. And the rest of them, the long tail for local search is pretty weak. So your long tail will target your services. So if you're hitting those, that's why you need that page on your website for the specific service. It's because someone might type in, I might not type in roofers, I might type in roof repair. I might type in shingle replacement, like all these different types of services, right? So your keywords, you can mostly figure them out from your website. So one, build a website. What is your primary keyword? You're going to target those real big common terms to your homepage. Then you're going to build all the services. And then on every service, you can figure out the 2 or 3 primary keywords per service that people would search. And that is usually, you got 90% of the way there with your keyword research on local, and no tools required.
Gosh, that's amazing. It's crazy how this most simple strategy makes the most sense, and it could be the least complicated thing in the world, but could it really be that easy? And for local, I really think it can. So I love that illustration of the taxi driver. Okay, what about citations? That's something that I've never fully understood.
Sure.
And again, from that non-brick and mortar business perspective,
Yeah.
how can you build citations? And what are good citations? What are bad citations?
Okay. I love these questions.
Okay.
So a citation is generally a mention of your name, address, and phone number somewhere on the internet. Typically a directory like Yelp or Yellow Pages or MapQuest or whatever. These are like sort of standard business directories. And so those are citations, and it's name, address, phone number, because those are the 3 key data points that Google uses to say, yes, this is the same business that we have in our database, our Google business profile database. And if I have found a match, this is a mention of that business in our Google business profile. And so the theory is that the more online mentions you have, the more prevalent you are on all the places that Google expects to find businesses of your type. That helps your rankings. And it's true. It does help your rankings, but I do find that citations, they used to be a really powerful strategy, because in the early days of local SEO, nobody was doing any optimization. And so you could be like, okay, cool. I'll just hire a company to submit me to 100 directories, and kaboom, I would rank at the top of the results. And it was true. It worked. It was amazing. It was because nobody else was doing it. Now everybody has done it. It's a basic thing. If you work in any kind of competitive industry, people are researching local SEO. They know that they have to be listed on all the directories, and they do it. And so now it's not this competitive difference maker that it used to be. So that's what a citation is. That gives you some general context. What do you do if you don't have an address? You don't want your address all over the internet. And so can you build citations? You still can. There's a handful of sites. I would say we have a list of about 20. We have a blog post that we probably wrote in 2016 about all the sites that you can get listed on that you can hide your address on. So that exists. So you can still go out and build those. One of the benefits you're going to get there is that you can link them to your website. And that's another signal. Like Google says, yes, this is the same business. So you can still get that optimization. So it'll be your name, your phone number, your website link, your description, your categories. You still want to go, and if you have a listing on something like Yelp or Yellow Pages, if they have a field, fill it out. And the same thing applies to your Google business profile. It's always fill everything out, add as much information as possible, and that's helpful. But then you can hide your address. And there's some little tricks actually on our list. Some of the sites, the address field is required, but they'll let you just put like a space in, and then you can still save. And so we have a handful of those that are identified as well. And so you can go and build them. I would say if you are a business that hides your address, citations they're not super valuable anyways, but you might as well do them. And the beautiful thing about citations is that it's usually a once and done activity. So a lot of people will sign up for this listings management. They think citations are so important, and it's a huge part of local SEO. And it is important, but you don't need to pay month after month, year after year for a service like Yext. If you're a small business, like I think those services are extremely valuable. If you're a big multi-location business, you got 100 plus locations, things are changing all the time. You need to push updates. If you're a single location, small business, I would always recommend the once and done approach. And then it's, 5 years later, we move or we change our phone number. That's when you'll do an update, but you don't need to pay monthly for a citation service. You can generally just build them all out once, check that off your to-do list, and focus on other things.
And you mentioned Yelp, but Yelp is one of those places, at least the last time I checked, where my no storefront business couldn't have a citation because it didn't have an address. Is that
Yelp is one of the ones that's on our list that you can submit without an address. So think about roofing companies, plumbing companies, lots of them don't have addresses. They're all on Yelp. So you can definitely do Yelp. That's one of the ones that's on the list. It's okay. There's some big sites that are very important to Google. Yelp is one of them. A Facebook business page is another one. Google's always looking for that page. And you want your information to match on these really important sites so that everything kind of matches up for Google. The concept of citation consistency, making sure your name, address, and phone number is perfect on all the different sites. That's a strategy that used to be talked about a lot. It's very important for local SEO. These days, it's a lot less important. Google is much better at matching information, so it's not as important as it used to be. If you do any investigating in local SEO, if you ask ChatGPT, whoa, how should I do local SEO? ChatGPT will tell you that citation consistency is extremely important because the corpus of knowledge on the internet says citation consistency is very important. It's actually not.